So the bell word for today's lesson is to label the following angles as acute, obtuse, or right. For a quick refresher, acute angles are what?
Cute. They're cute.
They're cute and little. They're less than what?
90. What's the
They're less than 90 degrees. What about obtuse angles? Obtuse angles are greater than 90 degrees. And what do we know about right angles?
They're always right.
They equal 90 degrees.
They equal 4 because they're always right.
Okay, so for the first one, what type of angle do we have? Number 2. Right, this one is equal to 90 degrees. And number 3, obtuse, it is greater than 90 degrees. That should be a review from last year. Today's lesson is classifying angles. Our target is students will be able to classify angles as acute, obtuse, straight, or right, and classify angles as vertical or adjacent. Okay, our first vocabulary word is vertical angles. 2 angles are vertical if they are opposite angles formed by the intersection of 2 or more lines. When you think of vertical angles, think across from. They are angles that are across from each other. Vertical angles are congruent. Congruent is a fancy way of saying equals or the same. So vertical angles are congruent, which means they have the same measure. Okay, so our examples of vertical angles, angle 6 and angle 3, those two are across from each other. Angle 5 and angle 2, and then angle 4 and angle 1. Our next vocabulary word is adjacent. So, 2 angles are adjacent if they share a common vertex, a common side, and do not overlap. When I think of adjacent angles, I think next to. Those are angles that are next to each other. So our examples of adjacent angles, 6 and 1, those two are next to each other. Angles 1 and 2, they're next to each other. Angles 2 and 3, angles 3 and 4, angles 4 and 5, and angles 5 and 6. Okay, so when we look at this first example, we want to find missing angle measures. Use angle rules and solving equations to find the missing angles. What is one of the unknowns that we have in this example? X. So we have that with 2x plus 2. What can we use to solve for x? If we're using our new vocabulary word, vertical angles are congruent. So when they're across from each other, they are equal. What is vertical of 2x plus 2? 130. So what do we know about these 2 angles? They're congruent, which means they're equal. So we can set them equal to each other. 2x plus 2 equals 130. Now we have a two-step equation, which is what we learned in our last unit. And how do we undo a two-step equation? What do we want to get rid of first?
Subtract by 2.
Yeah, we want to undo this plus 2 by subtracting both sides by 2. 2 minus 2 is 0, so we're left with 2x on our left-hand side. 130 minus 2 is 128. When we have a number out in front, it means we're multiplying, so we have to do the opposite to get it by itself, which is divide by 2. And we get that x equals 64. Okay, we also have another unknown, and that is our y. We have 3y minus 10. And what can we set that equal to? 50, because these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Okay, for 3y minus 10 equals 50, what do we have to do first? Add 10. This cancels, we get 3y equals 60, and our next step would be to divide both sides by 3. This will cancel out to be 1, and we're left with y equals 20. Okay, we have 3 on your own problems. I actually want to go over the first one together because you have a couple homework questions like this. When you name an angle, it's important to keep your letter as your vertex in the middle. So what would be one way we could name this angle if we use the letters? We could label it angle DEF. Since E is our vertex, it has to stay in the middle. What other way could we write that? FED. We could leave it as just angle E, because there's our vertex, we know we'd be solving for this angle. Or we could leave it as angle 2, since they wrote that or labeled that as angle 2 for us. Sometimes they write it as these two, but a lot of times you'll see it written out in 3 in case that you have intersecting lines, so you know which angle you are talking about. So we wanted to name the angle in 4 ways and then classify it as acute, right, or obtuse. Obtuse or straight. So which do we have here? What type of angle? Acute. Okay, so go ahead and try the other 2 problems on your own.